Alpharetta is not just some northern suburb in Atlanta anymore. It is the place to be. And in 2025, there is so much going on that makes it so desirable. That's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to examine my favorite things about living here with my family and why, if you're considering relocating or moving in the area, Alpharetta should definitely be at the top of your list. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ryan Johnston. I am a real estate agent. And of course, I have this YouTube channel where I talk all things Alpharetta as far as my favorite things about being here and the neighboring areas. And with that, let's dive in. Now, number one, we're going to start with obviously the location. It is hands down one of the best parts about Alpharetta, because for those of you that want to get out of the city and do want to get the suburban lifestyle, whether it's more land, just a little bit less hustle and bustle, Alpharetta gives that, but still gives you the connectivity as well. Still being in northern Fulton County, Alpharetta does span quite a large area, and it runs both sides of Georgia 400. This is unique because you get access to different areas of the city depending on what part of Alpharetta you live in. Now, one of the key features is that most of it does still create easy access to the highway if you do just need to pop down in the city, whether you're working in Buckhead, Atlanta, or you need to go to the airport. So that's something that's definitely desirable as far as people looking here. Now, on the flip side of that, you also have easy access to the North Georgia mountains. Whether you love hiking or just want to pop up to Lake Lanier for a day, it does give you that close proximity where it's enough to make a day trip without it feeling like you're driving forever, even in times when there's a lot of traffic. One of the nice things is that Alpharetta has really only come into its own the past 10 years. And because of this, it was a little bit less developed prior to that. Now, the past 10 years, as capital injections have come to the area and communities are being built out, there has been this presence on accessibility. From exits 9 to 11 on Georgia 400, what you're going to find is most of the things to do are immediately accessible off of the highway, whether that's North Point Parkway off exit 9, where you have the mall, 10, you have Avalon, and then 11 is Windward Parkway. And this kind of makes it very easy, whether you're coming in from the city or just commuting from some of the communities, to be able to get to things you need to do, whether it's grocery stores, shopping, restaurants. You have things like Costco right here. It's all right at your fingertips. And that's just because most of it's brand new and they had the land to develop the past 10 years compared to some of the more established communities that you've had to go further and further away from the highways and get deeper into the suburbs. Now, I don't want to make it seem like it's completely roses as far as the location goes. One of the downsides that we've seen the past few years, especially with the post-COVID explosion of people coming out of the city and really kind of moving into those northern neighborhoods, whether it's Roswell, Johns Creek, Alpharetta, a lot of that has just brought more dense populace. And because of that, traffic can be pretty brutal. I do tell people, especially if you're going to be commuting, you have to buffer an extra time, because 400, if that is going to be your main mode of transportation with the highway, gets backed up all of the time. And it's no longer just kind of typical rush hours. It's really only a window of like 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. where it's pretty clear. After that, there is a lot of moving pieces coming in and out of the city. So it's just something to be mindful of. The closer you are to the highway, obviously it's going to minimize the downtime of driving, but especially when looking with clients, we do try to keep that in mind. Now, number two, let's talk about one of my favorite parts of Alpharetta, and that's the downtown area. And this is where you're going to find City Hall, the library, the green space, the square, and kind of just general Main Street and things to do. Now, one of the nice things about this is they've really done a great job at having the architecture and feel of a small, quaint town. And the aesthetics have really come a long way with making it not feel as new as all the buildings are. Now, one of the benefits, whether you're downsizing or relocating to the area with or without kids, one of the great things about downtown Alpharetta is it doesn't feel like a central hub. Even that's where a lot of people go, whether it's after work or on the weekends. They have the large green space, which is turf. So if you want to bring kids or pets, it's really super friendly for that activity. And then you just have a bunch of shops and restaurants, but not your mainstream ones. It's a lot more mom and pop owned. There's local breweries with Currahee and Jekyll Brewing, and it is open container. So it makes it easy to just go get a drink, walk around, do some shopping, and just enjoy being outside. Now, there are some apartments there, and there's some communities that are walking distance, which make it great. But I would be mindful that parking can be a little challenging, especially going on the weekends. There's some great activities that they do in downtown Alpharetta all throughout the year. There's a lot of festivals. There's the wine festival. There's the Taste of Alpharetta with the restaurants. There's the Wire and Wood Festival, which is all music. And they do a great job at just kind of blocking off the downtown center and making it very pedestrian friendly, where you can walk around and just enjoy. Another nice thing is on the Saturdays in April through November, you also have the farmers market from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. A lot of local vendors come up, and it's all right in the city city center. So it's a great opportunity whether you want to just get out, walk the dog, get the kids out, find some local produce or vendors that you might not know before. That's an awesome opportunity, and everyone seems to really enjoy it. Outside of that, there's all bunch of small things that the city puts on all throughout the year. They have their celebratory 5K, there's events, there's art in the park that they do with a lot of local vendors as well. So there's something for everyone going on, and it's just an enjoyable atmosphere that doesn't feel like you're in the middle of a city center. So I think they've done a great job with that. Some of the favorite restaurants in downtown Alpharetta, you're gonna have places like Lapeer, which is great for steak and seafood or a date night. You have Citizen Soul, which has fantastic grilled octopus. And then there's more relaxing vibes like Taffer's of John Tasper from Bar Rescue. You have Up on the Roof if you want to grab a drink and be able to just look out over the area. And there's a bunch of places in between. There's ice cream for kids. You have great coffee with Warm Waves, Valor, boarding pass coffee as well. And if you're just coming in for a weekend stay, you have the Hamilton Hotel, which is brand new, but it doesn't feel like it was just built. It blends into everything else, which is super cool. If you get a chance to explore over there, they also have a speakeasy underneath the hotel that has duckpin bowling, live music, and it looks like a barbershop from the outside where you do have to get a little ticket. They buzz you in downstairs, and it is true 1920s speakeasy fashion. Super cool. I highly recommend checking it out. Now, the other secondary hub to Alpharetta is going to be Avalon, and Avalon is absolutely awesome. It's actually where my office just moved to, so I really enjoy being there every day, and we're going to go through some of the main reasons of what makes it so special. Now, not only is it right off the highway, so it's super easy to get to from wherever you live in the city, but it was built in 2014, and they've really spent the past decade kind of perfecting it as far as I'm concerned. It's 86 acres, it's mixed use, you have all sorts of retail, shopping, restaurants, there are townhouses, single family homes, and then you also have not only the office buildings, but you have rental apartments, and you're anchored by the Avalon Hotel, which has a massive convention center. It's great if you have family coming into town or an event. We had our wedding party stay there when my wife and I got married a few years ago, and it was so fantastic because not only is there space for everyone, but you also have the restaurant right downstairs. There's Woodhouse Spa across the street. If people want to get a massage, they can walk, they can shop, grab a drink. It's just one of those communities that they did such a wonderful job with, giving something to everyone. Now, it does have its own green space in the middle. It's much smaller than downtown Alpharetta, but they also put on events there every weekend and really make it something where there's live music and bring people out of their homes. And I think that's what Avalon and Alpharetta has done a great job at recently. It's more about community building. And I know, especially now in the post-COVID era and boom, it's much harder to meet people than it used to be, and everyone's used to being indoors. So I am all for them promoting more activities where you can get a chance to actually meet your neighbors. And with so many relocations lately, it is an easier path to just get more acquaintances and find people to do things with, which is really nice. Now, if you're just exploring Avalon for the day, there is not only the shopping and the restaurants. Now, if you're looking for something other than just shopping and restaurants to do, there is the movie theater there. There's great access for kids with a little play area. They actually do these things in the winter where they turn the green space into an ice skating rink, which is super cool. They have a tree lighting ceremony. It's just really fun with kind of, you have the one center street running through Avalon, which is Avalon Boulevard, and you got string lights going across it. The ambiance is great, but you're also anchored by some high-end retail stores like West Elm, Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma. You have Crate and Barrel, Whole Foods, and then the hotel and convention center. So that's where it's just a little bit of something for everyone. And it's really just promoting this sense of community feel. Now, outside of those two places where you have downtown Alpharetta and Avalon that are kind of the anchor hubs of the area, as far as outdoor activities go, you're not lacking in that regard either. One of the biggest things you have is Wills Park. It is absolutely massive. It's public. They have all sorts of baseball fields, soccer fields. There's basketball, tennis. There's 3 different playgrounds. They have a huge public pool, which has water slides for kids in the summer. And it's also anchored by an equestrian area where they have horses and there's a training center. And you could spend all day there with the kids or at the park just coming up with things to do. In addition to Wills Park, which is the largest, if you're like me and you have kids and you're looking for a place to take them to keep them engaged, Webbridge Park is awesome. That is brand new and super cool. There's walking trails around that as well and excellent play areas for all ages. Then you also have places like OC and Rockmill Park as well. Now, outside of parks, for all my golfers out there, there, this is an excellent location for you as well, because there are a ton of great public golf courses that are very easily accessible to Alpharetta. Some of them are deceptively hard as well. If you get a chance, I highly recommend playing Echelon and the Lake Lanier course, and something a little bit more local that are indeed challenging and hilly, especially for the walkers. You're going to have River Pines and Rivermont, also the Golf Club of Georgia. So if you're a golfer, I would highly recommend checking out those places. And if you're looking for other recommendations outside of those, Greater Atlanta just has a ton of awesome courses in general. Maybe walking 18 isn't going to be your speed. We also have Top Golf and Main Event for those people that want something a little bit more indoors and a little bit more relaxed. Now, outside of the sports activities, we have Amerisbank Amphitheater, which does have a ton of shows throughout the year. And we're not talking about some chumps either. They get some pretty serious talent and heavy hitters that come through there. And it is great to be able to just kind of bring the family on a weekend, kids. They have a lot of shows that are really meant for everyone. If you're looking for something maybe a little bit more mainstream or high level production, that would just be a quick trip into the city, whether it's Fox Theater or down at State Farm Arena, where you're going to get the likes of, your Taylor Swifts, Beyonce's, all of those bigger attractions. Now, in addition to the outdoor activities right in downtown Alpharetta, we have a lot of stuff in pretty close proximity driving distance. Obviously, you have Lake Lanier if you're just looking to get out on the water, or a little beach. But if you're looking for hiking or some of the wineries and want to just venture up to North Georgia, within 30 to 40 minutes, that's where you're going to find all that. There are also going to be a lot of pumpkin patches, apple orchards as well. And if you're looking for hiking, we are right on the bottom end of the Blue Ridge Mountain Range, and places like Dahlonega and Helen are awesome for little day trips to explore. Now, one of the great things that the city has done, especially the past few years, that they're continuing to improve, and I would expect big changes going forward, is going to be the connectivity. And a lot of this has to do with Alpha Loop and Big Creek Greenway. Now, when you're downtown Alpharetta and Avalon, that is going to be the bulk of Alpha Loop. And it's going to be a walking trail that you can bike on, you can walk dogs, rollerblade, run, and that's going to connect not only those two areas, but a lot of the neighboring subdivisions that back up to them. And this is what makes the area so popular, because not only can you live right there, but you can walk right downtown, you can walk to Avalon, you can hop on the Alpha Loop, and it does promote kind of a lot of connectivity that people familiar with Atlanta have with the Beltline. Now, on the east side, Georgia 400, where you have a lot more of the established older communities as far as residential living, they have Big Creek Greenway, and that's also another interconnected pathway that you can access and run on, walk, bike, anything. One day, I believe they're probably just going to have Alpha Loop and Big Creek Greenway just seamlessly interconnect and really provide Alpharetta as kind of that hub to be able to get anywhere without necessarily going on the roads if you're looking for alternative travel or ways to get around. All right, so we're almost getting through the list, but we're saving two of the most important things for last. And the next one is going to be the school systems. Alpharetta in general has great schools. Whether you're looking for public or private, there are a lot of options. Now, I have separate videos on this that if you want to take it a little bit further, I would recommend looking at places like greatschools.org just to get an idea of not only the ratings, but the statistics or anything that may be important to you with the school itself. A lot of the most popular things that people look at are going to be the ones filtering into Alpharetta High School, as well as Cambridge High School if you're looking on the public side. Now, if your kids are a little bit younger, I also have gone through the whole searching for daycares in the area. There's another video on that as well that I can link down below, but there are tons of options from the private, the monastery, the church programs. There are a lot of great things to be able to get your kids ready for the school system here, depending on whatever age they are. Now, let's round it out with obviously my specialty and talk about the real estate market here in Alpharetta. Now, this is something that has gone absolutely crazy the past few years, and I tell people when they're looking, you really kind of have to just figure out what's important to you. Are you looking for proximity and walkability, which is going to limit a lot of the options to downtown Alpharetta and Avalon, but also increase pricing? Or are you prioritizing things like having a little bit more land, maybe a gated community, you want to be an HOA, or a community that has amenities for kids like swim, tennis, playgrounds, basketball courts? Those are all things we can find all throughout Alpharetta. It just depends on exactly what you're looking for. Now, some of my favorite communities as far as subdivisions go, you have a place like Glen Abbey, you have Academy Park, downtown Alpharetta. Now, once you figure out kind of some of your main priorities, I am happy to give any insight I can as to what communities may be best suited for you or your lifestyle, and give you an idea of kind of over the years just where clients have gravitated, or my personal opinions on my favorite communities as well. I've actually lived downtown Alpharetta. I live in a community in Alpharetta that now has more access for the kids and things to do, and a little bit bigger for the family as we've grown and had our second daughter. So I'm happy to give my insights and hopefully provide valuable information of things that might make your real estate journey a little bit easier. Now, something to keep in mind is because Alpharetta is not the hidden gem that it used to be, you are going to see elevated pricing compared to what it used to be. And a lot of that comes in the form of the resales and also the new construction. Now, new construction for the most part is going to be limited to townhouses or small cluster communities of single family homes. Some of those are going to be like Hawthorne by Toll Brothers, Chiswick and Pinecone by Empire. And then you have the luxury independent builders that are going to be downtown Alpharetta that are really doing more of the custom and spec homes that are on a larger scale. And those are going to bring you in kind of the 1.5 plus pricing as far as homes go. But there are a ton of entry-level options, even if you're looking at things like a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, studio, townhouse. You have places like The Gathering and the Maxwell, which is a new community that's finished. The Gathering is still under construction by Brockbuilt. That's going to be another mixed-use development as well. That's right off of Exit 9 and North Point Parkway. I would recommend checking those out. And those are just some of the things that are kind of exciting as Alpharetta keeps growing. You don't see a slowdown. The building hasn't stopped. Our market hasn't really stalled, even in the past 2 years as interest rates have risen because there's just a large influx of buyers all throughout the year, and the demand for housing is outpacing the supply. Now, with that, I think some of the resale communities and the homes that have previously been built, especially pre-2007, are some of the best values if you're looking to do a renovation. And I'm happy to give some insights on kind of the differences and the nuances between looking at new construction and resales as well. So these are just some of my reasons of why Alpharetta to me is the place to be and the suburb to be, not only in 2025, but the foreseeable future. I've planted roots down here with my wife and my 2 girls, and we absolutely love it. So if you have any questions on the area or want to know anything else about the neighboring suburbs, communities, or things to do in Greater Atlanta in general, I'm happy to answer any questions.